All right, so I've got 3 kids ages 4 and under. My husband eats a whole food plant-based diet, which is basically vegan. So I've gotten a lot of practice making meatless meals that taste really good, that my kids like, and that are on a budget. So I feel like I have some tips to share. And so with Lent coming up, I thought I would post this video today, but people are eating less meat for lots of reasons, whether it's for the environment or your cholesterol or your budget, because meat is really expensive. So before I get to the individual meals, I wanted to take a quick second and talk about some meat substitutes. So if you have a favorite recipe, a beloved recipe you just don't want to let go of, but you just need to get rid of the meat in it, here are some things you can try switching out instead. Firstly, mushrooms are amazing. They are my favorite food. If you dice them up really small and you saute them, they make a really good substitute for ground beef, as does lentils. You just cook up a bag of the lentils according to the directions on the back and you substitute them for ground beef. This mostly works in recipes where the ground beef doesn't need to stay in a shape, like meatloaf or hamburger. That's obviously not going to work as well, but something where the meat is loose, kind of like an American chop suey, or what do other people call that? Goulash. Tofu is actually amazing, which I never knew until my husband switched his diet. You can make it into a lot of different shapes and textures. My kids actually like to eat it raw, believe it or not. With pinto beans, black beans are obviously great in Hispanic foods. Kidney and cannellini beans are going to be really good in Italian foods. And now there's also Impossible meat, which if you didn't know, it's like a plant-based meat product, usually with soy. It's typically more expensive than meat you can get in a loss leader sale. However, there currently are lots and lots of coupons available because they're still trying to break into the market and get people to try their product for the first time. So there's a lot of good coupons to be had. And finally, if you're going all in, you'll probably need some kind of chicken or beef broth substitute. I've actually got a pot of my vegetable broth boiling right now, and here's my recipe. It's just 3 ingredients and usually roughly equal parts of the 3: onion, carrot, and celery. If I want to get fancy and I have any mushrooms, I'll add those, some herbs, spices, salt, but really it's that simple. And I usually save up a little baggie in my freezer of all the scraps throughout the month, and I'll probably make broth once or twice a month with all the carrot, celery, veggie scraps. All right, so all of that said, here are the meals you came for. I'm gonna start with the stuff for everyone, and then I'm gonna finish with things that are more picky eater friendly. I mean, I'm a picky eater myself, so it's not just for kids, but yeah, we'll do it in that order. So first, let's talk soups. It is soup season, it's the winter time, it's my favorite. There are 1,001 soups you can make without any meat at all. Let's do this rapid fire style. Minestrone soup, Cajun bean and potato stew, which I just found recently, and I ate like a whole pot of it in 2 days. Vegetarian chili, which is actually a really big hit with our kids. Lentil soup, corn chowder, Italian white bean soup with like a lot of tomatoes and pasta in there. Creamy vegetable soup, which I swear is almost identical to Panera's broccoli cheddar soup. It's the closest I've ever gotten to make a copycat of that recipe, and I've been trying for years. This is the recipe. It was a different technique, not different ingredients, just different techniques. So, I mean, and if I didn't mention, all the recipes are in the description in order, so you can just go to it, get the instructions, and you're golden. Oh my gosh, are you hungry yet? Because I kind of want to stop filming and just start making some soup. All right, next, let's talk about some pasta dishes. So one, creamy lemon pasta is one I made a couple weeks ago for my husband. Smash hit. You'll obviously want to serve it with garlic bread, as one does. Okay, here's another amazing one. This is veggie pad thai. I recently perfected a recipe for this, I don't know, in the last month or 2. We love Asian takeout. Like once a month, we're gonna have our one date night when we're eating out, and usually we're getting something Asian. Pad thai was good, and I was looking at it the last time we got it takeout, and I'm like, you know what? I can do this. And I can. The trick was I did need one hard to source ingredient, which was tamarind concentrate, which I could only find on Amazon. And I'll leave the link to that in the description if you're interested in making your own too. So it came out to somewhere between $7 to $10 a recipe, which breaks down into like 4 servings. Whereas if you go to a restaurant, it's like $15, $16, $17 a serving. So the savings were huge, and it was so delicious and perfect. You know, to sprinkle those nuts on top. Yeah. Another one we've been eating a lot of recently is a lentil bolognese, which is basically like a meat sauce, but you're switching, like I said earlier, you're switching out the ground beef for the lentils. And, you know, it's got a nice kick with these spicy red pepper flakes. And then lastly, ramen noodles count as pasta, right? Like, it's all the same, but we do fancy ramen in our house. Usually this is a lunch thing. Like I had this for lunch today, where you just saute a bunch of vegetables first. Like I think today's I had mushroom, carrot, and onion. And you saute them up, add some garlic right before, then add water, let it boil, add the ramen, no little packet. Delicious. delicious. If you want to get really fancy, you can chop up some of these bad boys on the top and just make it look all fancy, like so good. Okay, moving away from pastas, as my favorite food is mushrooms, you know I'm going to mention a portobello mushroom burger. If I've done it before where you like marinate it first, like get all those juices flowing, I didn't find that necessary to enjoy it. I personally, as I said, I'm kind of a picky eater, so I like it plain, but in the recipe in the description, it's got the marinade. Taco Tuesday is also a staple in this house. Every Tuesday there is Hispanic food. And so sometimes this is going to be like a mushroom fajita, bean and cheese burritos, taco salad, but just skip the meat and load up on those beans. I mean, you get the picture. There's a lot of different things you can do. And in fact, we've noticed that Hispanic and Asian cultures, like those two continents, do really have traditions of low meat eating or vegetarianism totally. So we've been able to take a lot of those foods and just start incorporating more of those into our diet, which is delicious and kind of fun because you learn about a new culture when you're cooking. So we'll also do a lot of like stir fries, which is great if you've got vegetables in the house you're just trying to use up, or if you've, got a bag of stir fry vegetables from the freezer, you just chuck that in. That's super easy. Or fried rice, which I've gotten really good at recently, like way better than the restaurant. I'll just eat that by the pound. And if you still want to add a protein, that's instead of just having veggies versions, you can also add shrimp or tofu, which tofu is really good in stir fry, if you didn't know. All right, let's switch gears and talk about things that our kiddos are going to be more excited about, or those who are kiddos at heart. Starting with a quesadilla, but the inside has peanut butter, banana, and chocolate chips. My kids love this. I will also admit that when I was pregnant with my third kid, this was the only food that I could tolerate for like there was a week when I didn't eat anything except this food. You just cover half of the flour tortilla with peanut butter, a tiny bit of oil in the pan, fold it over, good to go. Delicious. Obviously, there's also a lot of pizza around here. Like pizza is also on our weekly rotation. Sometimes it's just cheese pizza for the kids. Sometimes we've got cheese and veggie. My husband and I really have been enjoying no cheese, no sauce, hummus base right on top of the bread, and then put your toppings on top, veggie toppings. Oh my goodness. I will choose that over a Domino's pizza any day now. It is so good. Grilled cheeses are obviously fabulous, but have you ever tried taking thinly sliced apple and a sprinkle of cinnamon and putting that in your toaster oven? You're missing out. I know we up here in New England, like the cheese and apple combo is pretty common. I'm not sure if that is other places, but that is where it's at, my friends. I'm getting so hungry making this video. There's also perennial kids' favorite mac and cheese, but have you ever tried taking half a can of pumpkin puree or just like a butternut squash that you've cooked and mashed up, like probably a cupful of that, putting that in with your orange colored cheddar cheese and mixing it all together? Gives it a little bit of an extra sweetness. Kids can't tell the difference aside from being like, more please. This one was a trick from my sister who is very, very smart. Finally, there's everybody's favorite breakfast for dinner. Basically everything in the breakfast for dinner category is meatless. If you just move out sausages and bacon, like everything else is fine and the kids are gonna go crazy for it. So I've got like broccoli cheddar quiches, French toast, or French toast in the casserole form, which is sometimes known as like overnight French toast or French toast casserole. The casserole form will mean there's like a little less prep you have to do in the morning if you're eating it as a breakfast dish, because you can just prep it the night before, chuck it in the fridge, and then as soon as you wake up, just throw it in the oven and you're done, and you're not standing there flipping 1,000 pieces of French toast, depending on how many children you have. You've also got muffins, of which there are 1,001 recipe. One of my favorites is to dice up apple and put it in there. However, my kids are not a fan. They are like, excuse me, where are the chocolate chips? So I don't usually make apple cinnamon muffins for them. Usually we're eating the chocolate chip muffins. You know how to make a muffin, right? Even, you know what? Maybe you don't. I won't assume. They're not hard to make. You can do it. All right, so I can put this down now. All right, so speaking of chocolate, have you ever tried chocolate and peanut butter oatmeal? Even if you're not usually a whole fan of the oatmeal thing, this one is gonna change your mind because I eat it more than half of the mornings and it is basically dessert for breakfast, but not in terms of sugar content. So you just, make your oatmeal the way you usually do. And then I put in a tablespoon of peanut butter, a tablespoon of cocoa powder, and like a couple sprinkles of brown sugar. And then whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Oh! Pancakes and waffles are also really big around here. We usually have like a waffle making party every Saturday morning, and we've got the music and we're dancing and we're making a whole double batch of waffles. And we will be eating those throughout the week because that's what my kids really like most days. But they're good for dinners too. Also, check out this super cute dinosaur pancake mold I found in the thrift store. The actual pancake didn't turn out as beautiful as this pre-picture, but still, it was a lot of fun. And finally, you've got the Dutch baby, also sometimes called a German pancake, I think. It's something that I didn't learn about until this year, but it is really cool. And I have gotten recipes from, again, my sister, a friend of mine here in town. Kids really like these. My kids in particular, not a huge fan, but I ate the whole Dutch baby over the course of the week. So I thought I would still include it here if you wanted to try it out. It's basically like a whole mess of eggs and pancake batter. Various recipes abound online, but I will leave one in the description. If you haven't already liked this video, that would be a big help to me and the channel. And if you want more videos of me cooking and talking about food, I will link this one next for your viewing pleasure. And I will see you later. Bye, YouTube.